Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with devout persons, and in the market daily with them, and met with them. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and the Stoics encountered him, and some said, What will this babbler say? Others some, He seems to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preached unto them Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, May we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is? For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know therefore what these things mean. For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription, To the unknown God. Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life, breath, and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed, and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him, and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as certain also of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. For as much then as we are the offspring of God, we ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's device. In the times of this ignorance God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent, because he hath appointed a day in which he will judge the world in righteousness by that man whom he hath ordained, whereof he hath given assurance unto all men, and that he hath raised him from the dead. And when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked, and others said, We will hear thee again of this matter.
Thank you, brother. Is this going to work, you think?
Yeah, try to.
See if it's on. This is working. Okay. I'm not very adept at this stuff. Thank you very much for the opportunity to see and I have to be here. We always look forward to coming to Cummins and appreciate so much the good work that you do with me in India. This little congregation, you are very much involved in the work, and it's a growing involvement, and I appreciate it, and the children appreciate it, and those who hear the gospel appreciate the things that you're doing as we work together in this great country. Just listening to the sermon that Paul preached at Mars Hill, that's a powerful sermon. I preach that sermon quite often in India with some variations of it, but that's exactly right. A land of idols and Hindu religions, thousands of thousands, really tens of thousands of gods in India. And everywhere you go, you see these man-made idols and man-made gods. You can go to the rat temple and worship the rat. You buy a little bowl of milk, and you go and you give the milk to the rat, and as he drinks the milk, he's being blessed by the rat god. And there's a snake temple. They worship the snake called Bharatham, because the pit viper kills about 25,000 Indians every year, hitting them. And so they worship that snake because they're much afraid of it. But there's so many gods. There's the monkey god, all throughout India, also in Nepal, the people worship the monkey. Feed them a banana. Not feeding them a banana, you get a blessing from their god. But there's so many gods. And so I can understand Paul seeing all these unknown gods and saying, let me tell you who the true God really is. You're part of that, and I appreciate that. And I want to share quite a few slides with you tonight. Sean, if you let me know when I have about 5 minutes. And I think he said I had an hour and a half, so I appreciate that. And I'll go through this because these slides are our work together, and they're just a small portion of the things that we do in India. And I'm not violating this side, okay? I have to see these slides to be able to talk about them. But always begin by showing where we're located. Way up in the northeast corner where you see the blue there, that's Arunachal Pradesh. I work in all of the northeastern states. There's 7 of them. I have work down in Andhra Pradesh, in Guntur, where I have Esther's place, but most of my work is in the northeast. I do have work in Darjeeling and Kalimpong and some other places, Calcutta, but primarily I'm concentrating now in the far northeast. I'm about 70 miles from the Chinese border, 15 miles from Burma, now called Myanmar. And it's a good location because we're connected to many countries, but also many tribes and many religions that we can influence and make a difference for. And the problem now, as I mentioned last time I was here, is that since you have the BJP in power, and they've been in power 5 years, much persecution has come upon the church, okay, and Christianity in general. Anytime the BJP party comes into power, they always persecute Christianity. And back in the 90s when they were in power, between 90 and the year about 2000, for 15 years they were in power, many Christians were killed. Primarily they were Catholics. They were burned alive in their buildings in places like Bihar. And then they went out, the Congress Party, which, you know, they follow their constitution, which is secularism. Every religion is okay, according to their constitution. They follow the British Constitution. We follow the British Constitution. But now the BJP party is back in power for the last 5 years, and persecution began. And then Modi, just 2 months ago, was re-elected for another 5-year term. Okay, and so that's not good news for us, because he wants Christians to leave India. He wants those who are Christians, who are Hindu, to reconvert to Hinduism. And he has what we call Hindustan, is what he preaches all the time from his bully pulpit, I call it, and saying that if you're an Indian, then you must be Hindu. You're born a Hindu, you're going to live a Hindu, and you're going to die Hindu. And if someone has forced you to become a Christian, and he believes every Hindu who's a Christian has been forced to become a Christian, then he either says, I will punish you or I will reward you. If you'll come back into Hinduism, I can give you something to help you build a house from bamboo to cement, or I'll do something for you. If you don't, then punishment will come your way. So it's a great test on the Hindus who we've converted to Christianity to remain faithful. My last 2 Sundays I was there, I was getting ready to preach, and this is in Margarita, Assam. And Assam is really, really much under persecution right now. That's the largest state in the Northeast. About 26 million people are in this state. And as soon as I get started preaching, the guys come up on their motorcycles. Now, they're BJP, RSS. RSS is what we would call radical. I mean, radical Islam. These are radical Hindus. And they're sent out by the government to stop Christians from worshiping. And so my last 2 Sundays, they come up on their motorcycles and they get off and they say, you cannot worship here. And I had about 75 people gathered. We had a tent, we had rented, and chairs, and we were going to have a fellowship meal afterwards. And he said, you got 15 minutes to get everyone out of here, or we're going to kill every one of them. And so we have to quickly leave and go find somewhere where we could worship. In this case, just a few of us was able to find a place to worship later on in the day. And that happened for 2 weeks. And we turned the other cheek. You know, we returned good for evil. And being a man, sometimes, you know, I have a hard time. You know, I want to fight back sometimes. But when you have women and children, we have God's word, that we have to show peace to people. And that's what we're having to do now. And they know that. You know, the Hindus know that Christians, we're not going to fight back. If you try to force us to leave, or we're not going to hit you back. We're not going to force you. We may go to the courts and try to find our rights according to the Constitution. But even that we're not doing. But this is happening a lot, not just to me, but all over India, particularly northeast India. What they're doing now, if you have a church building, they will get up on Sunday morning and go and stand in front of your church buildings with machetes and big old sticks. And if you try to come into your building and worship, they're not going to let you come in. And that's happening all across the northern portion of India, particularly the northeast, but also the northwest. And so I talked about this last time I was here, and so I won't spend time on this slide, but we're trying our best to become legal with our boys and girls. You might remember last year they came in, they took 40 of my boys away from my orphan home and said, we're going to put these in a Hindu orphan home. These boys are not going to be raised to be Christians. Okay? And some of these boys have been with me 8, 9, 10 years. I'm the only papa they know. And it's so sad to lose these boys. So sad. Same thing happened to about 20 of my girls. You know. And so what I've done is convert from what you would call an orphan home to a school. We have a Christian school, and I have a Rainbow Village for girls boarding school, and a Mustard Seed Village for boys boarding school. And that way I've surrendered my my welfare license to the government, and I've now assumed the education license. And that's going to protect me, I hope. I still have my orphan children, a lot of them, and I still take many orphan and poor children. But now I take them under the guise of educating them. Of course, they receive a Christian education. Our first course of the day is the Bible for an hour, and they complain against that. And I say, no, well, this is moral science. We're teaching moral science. So anyway, pray for the persecution that we have. There's much of it. This is our Mustard Seed Village. We've moved it from Assam where we were forced basically to close. We moved it to Arunachal Pradesh, where I have all my other works, the other Rainbow Village and my new school. And so let me show you some of the pictures and try to move quickly through this. These are the buildings we're building. We have most of them built. 100 boys are in these buildings now. And the school, I'm taking a picture from the school right here of the buildings. And here the boys are helping me level the land out between 3 buildings, and we're building the 4th building on the end. And when we're through, we'll be able to hold about 160 boys who will be there and go to school with us at our school and live in our hostels where they'll have devos and Bible and church. And so that's our goal, to continue in that direction. And you can see pictures of the building being completed. That first door on the left is my cottage when I'm there. That's usually where I stay with the boys. And here are some of our new boys. In fact, you won't recognize any of these. These are all brand new. Since February, I've accepted probably, maybe 120 new children, boys and girls. Okay, and so all these are brand new. And I've decided to change the name from Mustard Seed Village to Jacob's Place. And one of the reasons why I'm using the 12 sons of Jacob to name the groups of the boys, so they know where their chores are and their responsibilities according to their group. And the name Mustard Seed Village is now the name of the whole area that I have up there, about 40 acres. And then I have Rainbow Village, I have the Theophilus English Medium School, I have my medical clinics, all in that one area. And we'll eventually just call that the Mustard Seed Village. So some changes are taking place. But you can see all these handsome young men that's with me. The one in the upper right, of course, is Siva. He's a blind boy. I have quite a few blind boys and girls. But they're all named after different tribes. It's a half tribe, of course. And this is my priestly tribe. I don't know if they're my best boys or not. But they're good boys. And I'm singing on the bottom right. He's been with me since he was probably that little, a long time. There's Reuben, and you just see Naphtali, all these boys, most of them are brand new boys. You can just see just many of them. These are supported here by this I may not have all your boys, but there's Povitra that's been here for a long time. Binyar Ram is adopted here. Apu, Dinesh, and so I appreciate you taking care of these children. Probably others I don't have there. One of the big problems I had when I was there is I ran out of water. Okay, you can imagine having a girls' place of over 100 girls and the boys right at 100. A school starting to open for 225 kids in the school, because I have about 25 kids who come to school from the town areas. And then I have no water. I have 3 wells. They all go dry. These are hand-dug wells. Okay, and so it was an issue. It was a big problem. And the churches over here became very helpful, sent money, and we were able to bore and drill 2 wells. And that's what we're doing here. This man here on the right there is the only one that has a boring machine in the entire northeastern states of India. And I was able to get him to come up and to bore 2 wells for me. And here he is starting to do the boring. The boy is always interested in anything mechanical. Okay? And so you can see we finally hit very good water. We hit water at 200 feet, and we hit water at 220 feet. This is high pressure water, as you can see. We had to put reducers on it to be able to move the water into our cottages and so forth. So I don't think we're going to have a water problem anymore, but I never knew how difficult it was to get around without water. We have a river, we can haul water, but you can't drink that water. You can't haul enough for 200 people to take a bath in. So it was interesting. The boys really enjoyed not having a bath for a while. After about a month, even they began to want to take a bath. Okay. So if you see the building going on, here's one of my boys getting a haircut. We do all of our own hair cutting and try to save funds the best way we can. Here's our new hostel. Okay, this room here holds 100 boys. Okay, on the left, and you see the boys moving in on the right. And it's a big project to build these buildings and make the beds and get all the boys situated. You basically run it like a boot camp with a barracks, very tough, rules and guidelines and fairness for these boys. And they enjoy it. Here they are playing the game called Carrom board, which is the most popular board game used to play in India, probably other countries as well. Doing Devo at night. This is our dining hall that we just finished for the boys. And this is where they eat. We have our evening devotionals and so forth. And it's raining in the monsoon season like it is right now. And the boys will worship by themselves, and then the girls will worship with some older brothers by themselves because it's just so much rain we can't get them together. They're about 300 yards apart, Rainbow Village from Mustard Seed Village. And the boys playing games here. This is an area that I will turn into what they call a football field, which we know better as a soccer field. Okay? They don't know what football is. You need to come over here. The SEC is fixing to start. And but anyway, we'll turn this into a soccer field for the boys, and actually we'll compete with other schools and use our soccer field for other schools to come in and play. And that opens the door for talking to people about Christ and shows the community that we want to be involved in the community. We have a very, very good reputation with the people in this area. This is one of the boys, Normal, I think, receiving the gifts. Those that support and send gifts, they appreciate it so much. And all of you, I appreciate so much all these items that you brought here. Wow, it's what a great collection. I will pack those up. I'm shipping crates in about 3 weeks to India. And I'll get all this shipped over, and they're really useful stuff. I see a few things there. I may end up in my car. Here are the boys getting ready to go to bed at night. They always have a 30-minute quiet time in their bed where they read their Bibles and have their prayers, and the lights are out at 9 p.m. Remember, in India, it's daylight at 4 a.m. and it's dark at 5 p.m. So that's the way we sort of work our time. The old MSV, when I moved all the boys to the new one, I still have the land in India. This is a lease land. I have 7 more years on the lease. And so I'm using it as an animal husbandry, raising animals there for my children to eat and to sell. And right now we're raising goats and rabbits, even turkeys I found. We're raising turkeys, pigs, and chickens. And so we raise for our kids to eat, and then we raise for others. Here's our pigs. They were voted the leaders of the pig pen for some reason. I'm not sure why. Our rabbits, little girls don't want to eat them. They say they're too pretty, you know. But you know, when you get them ready and cook them and put them over rice, it's tasty. Turkeys are doing well. They've never seen turkeys in that area. I didn't think turkeys were in India, and I saw them in Kalimpong when I was over there doing some preaching in that area. So I bought some, and now we're raising turkeys, hoping to eat some ourselves and to sell to other people. Goats, we have about 40 goats. There were 3 of them that delivered last week, and I think we had one that had a set of twins, and other ones had single goats. So we want to raise a lot of goats. The Army came to me, and they've offered a contract. They'll buy every goat we raise, because the Army eats goats. They can't eat pig because they have many Islamic soldiers. And of course, no one eats cows in India no more because the new law just came in. If you eat a cow or kill a cow in India, you're hung by your neck. No matter who you are or what state you're living in, or whether you're Islam or Christian, if you kill a cow, it's a hanging offense. And so they want our goats to eat, and they'll buy every one of them. And we'll sell them to them. You know, my goal from the very beginning, I've been there 12 years full time, is to make this work an Indian work, fully self-supporting Indian work, that we can cut off American funding. American funding is so good, but it can become addictive, and it can go on generation after generation if you're not careful. So I hope within 2 years, Lord willing, and the government doesn't put me out, this will be a fully self-supporting Indian work. They'll raise enough funds through selling goats and the other things that we're doing that it'll be a fully self-supporting work. We raise lots of chickens. We slaughter about 100 chickens a week because we feed the boys and girls chicken 3 times a week. And you think about, 200-something kids, counting the adults that oversee them, that's about 100 chickens that we kill every week. But we raise an awful lot. We can buy them at 3 days old, and within 6 weeks, they're 2.5 kg. That's almost 4 to 5 pound chickens. And so we feed them nonstop. We leave lights on them nonstop so they eat. They just sit there and eat. I won't make any comments on that, okay? But they get so big, they get where they can't hardly walk. They just wobble. And it's about that time that we'll send them to the butcher. And my girls are the butchers. I don't kill any animal. I just cannot kill an animal. I'll eat it, but don't let me see you kill it. Okay? But I got some girls that's really good at killing and cleaning and plucking, and so that's what we do. We raise a lot of these chickens. Once we raise our eggs, we're able to now produce enough eggs to give every child about 3 eggs per week, which is a great source of protein for the children. These are our egg layers here. We have many of them in this place and also at Rainbow Village. Some of our pig pens, these have been moved over to the new MSB now, this big pen. I have most of them down in the old one there, but we have probably 40, 45 pigs right now. Rainbow Village is the village for girls, and it's doing great. It's full of beautiful girls and children. These are the ones that will run my work for me there. They will eventually oversee this work. All these are members of the Meow Circle Church of Christ. The one at the bottom is one of the elders in the congregation. But this is really his family. This is his son to the right with a black coat on. He's one I sent to business school, and he oversees all the finances of the work. NG in upper right, he's the assistant director, and he will be the director when I leave India. Sister Achak above me, she's a nurse that graduated from 4-year nursing school that takes care of the needs of all the children, helps me in medical camps and teaching midwifery. We just finished a major midwifery program just a couple of months ago. But anyway, all of them will be there to run the work, and they've been with me for years. And they're very, very strong Christians. Here's the girls. Remember, they divided up in the colors of the rainbow, and I have many groups now. I think I have more groups now have colors of the rainbow. So you can just see the pictures. You may recognize some of them. Several blind children in this picture here. Let me back up. That's Bolini in the upper right with the pink dress. I know y'all supported her for a long time. She's a beautiful young lady. And Jisangi now is on my left. She's in class 10. She's 20 years old now, you know, and still with me. But she's a wonderful young lady. And you can just see the children. This little one in the pink there, that's Asha. Remember, she's my dwarf. She's 23 years old, and she's probably this tall, you know, and as cute as she can be. She has the mind of probably an 8 or 9-year-old child, and but she's loved and cared, and she just fits right in with the children. Some of the children here. Many of them. Ruth there in the white, she's in class 10. She's always been my group leader. She's a very, very, very smart young lady. These are some of the girls that supported here. This little lady to the right, I just had major ear surgery successfully on her. And well, Giza, which I've got to have ear surgery on her eventually, but is supported here, and appreciate that. When I got there, NB, my manager, wanted to be married to this young woman here. Nayabo is her name, and I hired her as my 5th grade teacher. She has a degree in education. But they wanted both a traditional Lisu wedding, wearing their Lisu clothing, but she so much wanted to be married in an American wedding dress, okay? So that's what we do here. It's about a 4-hour wedding, okay? We did part of the wedding in the Lisu, then they had a processional out, and they changed clothes and everything, then they had it's a recessional out, right? And then a processional back in, and then we finished the wedding off with a white wedding gown. Very beautiful bride. She's very smart, and B's very smart, and both of them are very strong Christians involved in the work. Here's the girls. They're always doing the gardening. Boys do very little gardening in India. It's a girl's job. I don't think, guys, we can get that imprinted over here, okay? But over there, if I grab a hoe and try to do something, the girl will grab it out of my hand and say, Papa, sit down. This is girls' work. I don't fuss too much about that. But they're working in the pineapple patch right now. We grow a lot of pineapples. And, we grow a lot of everything. Cabbage, lots of, this is turnip greens there, but backing up, this is our tea. We pluck tea now about every week during the rainy season. We can pluck tea every week. We pluck probably 200, 300 pounds of tea a week, and we can sell it, not a lot, we get about $500 a month. We sell it, and then it goes to a drying factory. But $500 times 70, that's 35,000 rupees a month, see, that we set into a bank account that's not touched, that draws 8% interest. And when I'm gone, that money's there, okay? And they can use it for emergencies, or to help them if they have a problem. And so that's what we use this tea for. And we can pluck this tea, and this tea will live for about 50 years, 55 years these plants live once they start producing. And so here we are plucking tea at Rainbow Village. Again, turnip greens probably, the yams, they eat a lot of yams and so forth. And any kind of gourd we can grow, they will eat it. Even the birdhouse gourds, we used to make birdhouses out of it. I said, I wonder how you eating a birdhouse gourd for. But if it's edible, or they think it's edible, they will eat it. Okay? And long green beans, these are these yard long beans. I think you can grow them here. I brought some from India and I've grown them in the past, but they love the green beans. You can see them growing. around working on a tractor, getting ready for a potato field, I think. And this is NG on our big riding tiller. So we keep them busy and going all the time. Where we're located in the jungle, we can do 2 crops, sometimes 3 crops a year. So we're always growing, always producing. And so far we haven't had any major disease come into the area. Girls are planting, getting ready to plant potatoes here. Here are some of my girls. They're just wearing new dresses made by Shimadu. She's an excellent seamstress. And all my girls learn how to first sew by hand. And then they learn to sew on the foot pedal sewing machine. We don't need electricity. We don't have electricity for that purpose. And here they are wearing some of the dresses. 3 of these little girls are blind. One on the end, the one on this left. 2 of the girls are blind here. And here's Shimadu. This is NG's wife, and she's the assistant director there at Rainbow Village. She's just very good at sewing. And she teaches sewing in my school. We have a sewing room with 10 sewing machines, and when they get to up to age 13, they learn with hands, and then we put them on the machine. And now we're opening, I've got too much to talk about probably, but now we're opening what we call the Second Time Around store. And it's going to be run by my girls, and they'll learn how a little bit about retailing and some of the clothes that I'm shipping over, but mainly we'll buy used American clothing in India. You can buy them, by the bulk, and we call it Second Time Around, because we're going to clean them up, put them in our shop, and sell them. And that money will go to help support this work as it keeps going in the future. And we will start that store when I go back in September. So I'm excited about seeing how that will work. When the girls didn't have water, for 70 days, it's just unreal. But they had no toilets or anything, so we had to make one dry toilet. I won't spend too much time on this. But that's all they had for 70 days, and you can imagine how hard that was for the girls. And so they were so thankful when they finally got water. Here's some Americans who came over with me not too long ago. Dwayne back there in the back, he's just retiring for 52 years as a missionary in Andhra Pradesh. Okay? And he's back in California now, and that's his son Mark Davis that's there with him. The girls did the cooking for us. Here we are eating in the dining hall, always rice and whatever vegetables we grow in the garden, that's what we put on the rice. And again, 3 times a week we have meat, usually chicken. The girls' dormitory where they sleep in the bamboo beds that were made, and they will last for many, many years. Here the girls are. You can tell this is probably January because we only have about 2 months of cool weather there. Not cold weather, but cool weather. But cool weather to us is extremely cold to them. It probably never drops below 55 degrees even in the coldest time of the year. But if you can't heat up 55 degrees, that's cold. And girls studying the Bible, that's Kim Roy and Chong Min Young. This is Rasha. She's become one of my leaders among the girls. This is Brother Bob Yoder, who came over with me on the last trip, and he's never been overseas at all. He's retired nuclear engineer from Y-12 at Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and never married. Brad took care of his mother until she died at 95. But anyway, he's very intelligent, and he studies all the time. And somehow he got a hold of studying the Lisu culture, and he actually went and took Lisu dance lessons, the cultural dance, okay? And then he came to hear one of my presentations. Almost all of these girls you see here, and the boys, they're Lisu. They're Lisu children, okay? And when he heard that, he was just, he said, the Lord must have led me to you. Can I go with you? I said, sure, come with me. And so he went over with me, and he adopted Misacha there, and it's just like it changed his life. He has a family. He could never marry, and then he says, I have a daughter. And he's just the happiest fellow you ever seen. He's begging to go back, but right now it's too dangerous. I'm not allowing Americans to come. Not this year. We'll see next year. But I mean, it's fairly dangerous. He's having a bad hair day, or maybe a good hair day. He's a good fellow. Bob's he's very helpful. When I got there, I had just had a bladder surgery, and a stent put in my bladder, and I went up on top of the mountain to preach at this little congregation. And somehow I tore that stent in my bladder, began to bleed. I almost bled to death. I lost 2 units of blood in about 4 hours. I was catheterized myself every 15 minutes. And he was with me. He thought, how am I going to get back to America? Because he'd never been overseas. But anyway, they got me into a hospital, and actually it was a urologist there who was just coming out of surgery, and they were able to get me in for emergency surgery and took care of things. Here the girls are in our Devo at the Rainbow Village. Here are 3 of the girls watching The Wizard of Oz on one of my computers, just many things going on. Here we are taking, girls are going on a picnic. What they do when they go on a picnic, you just take rice and pack it, I call it sticky rice, and then you wrap it up in a leaf. This is not a banana leaf, but it's a large leaf. They grow everywhere in the jungles. And then that's their picnic lunch when they go. And so they go somewhere and they are eating their rice. I want fried chicken and corn on the cob, something like that. Right before I leave, they're always giving me this strange foods to eat. I've always learned to look very carefully before I put something in my mouth. And when I saw these, I thought black-eyed peas in India. Well, I like black-eyed peas. But that's not black-eyed peas. These are bees. Where they catch a bee hive and they put it in, and they let them die somehow or another. I have no idea how they let them die. And then they pluck the wings off and then they boil them. I said, no, thank you. And I don't guess they're insulted because they know that I'm a very picky eater. And I said, that goes in, it's coming right back in that bowl. But they ate it, they love them. You don't like that? You can have fried rat or rat on the stick. I don't eat that either. That looks like a collection plate. Here's Esther's place. This is still a true orphan. No problem in Andhra Pradesh with an orphan home right now. I'm not receiving any persecution in this particular area. And these girls have about doubled the number of girls since I was here last year. And this is the city of Guntur, which is becoming one of the capitals of Andhra Pradesh. And this is a new building that we've got. We released 2 of the floors. We have 2 house mothers, and we divide the girls up. Here's some pictures of them. They're just beautiful young ladies, look much different from the Lisa girls. You can see their pictures. Abraham, who oversees this work, he's a medical doctor. His wife, Priya, who's about 6 months pregnant now, she's a doctor too. So they support themselves primarily. I just help a little bit with the children. And you can see the pictures. I always buy them a gift when I'm there visiting, seeing over the work and going through the bookwork. I'm buying them all shoes here, so they're taking a picture of that with the shoes, and then they've got their shoes on. While I was there, I realized in that city there was Kentucky Fried Chicken. These kids have never had a taste of Kentucky. So how can you go to heaven if you never had Kentucky Fried Chicken? So I bought them Kentucky Fried Chicken, and at Kentucky Fried Chicken, the drink you get is Pepsi, you remember? And so I think I missed that slide. Yeah, there it is. So they're holding up their Pepsi can and eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they're watching the movie on how to, not slay your dragon, how to train your dragon, I think is the movie they're watching. And it's sort of funny because they really don't have carbonation over there too much. And it might have been some of them's first carbonated drinks, so they had issues with carbonation. But just a good group of girls, they really are. And we give them the opportunity to go to school, to have a Christian education, and to learn about God. And because of that, these 3 were baptized about 2 months ago from this orphanage. You can see Abraham baptizing her, and then these 2 here. Our school is going great. That now is a school where we have 225 students, and it's right there where the Mustard Village on one side, Rainbow Village on the other, and my school right there. So where we want everything is coming into one area. In the state of Arunachal Pradesh, which is friendly to Christianity, the guy who we would call the state senator has become pretty friendly with me, and he's told me, he says, you move all your works here, I will protect you. Get it out of Assam because they're coming after you. And I will help you get an NGO. I will always help you make sure that persecution won't come your way. Now, whether he can do that or not, we'll just have to see. Here's our school being built. I showed you that picture last year, but since then we've built the wall, and the school is in full force. When I go back in September, we will build a 2nd floor on the back section, and that will become our high school. And we'll be able to add another 60 to 80 students next year. See the school coming together. And the girls, actually, I think these are all girls, maybe 1 or 2 of the boys did some drawings. I had a competition for what pictures we could put on the wall in front of the school when people drive by. And these are the one that won, and then we have these pictures put on the wall. And you can see some of them very good artists in their drawings and so forth. And these are all on the walls, so people walk by and see them. I hope that's not me hanging from the wind. We always begin our day, this is at the school, we begin every morning with a devote with those who are working with me as administrators and overseeing the other works. We begin with a devote, then we have a meeting for the morning, planning our work. We have a work board that we keep updated, and we add to it, and we finish it, we mark it finished. And so we're very organized in our work, and we have very, very much to do. Here's our kids beginning in school in April. We had to delay school because there's no water. You can imagine 225 kids in the school without a drop of water, so we had to wait until we had water before the school started. But kids are doing great. Here they are giving the Indian pledge and saying the Indian Pledge of Allegiance before we begin our school day. There's many of these children. And they're all dressed very well, but they come from very great places of poverty. Okay, it's just the difference we can make in their life. I'm using the word great as much as Donald Trump. so you see, just many beautiful children, the teachers standing beside them. The one on the right is my science teacher, so smart and tremendous artist. There's not nothing that she can't draw in any medium. She can use any medium. You see the pictures. This is one of my oldest boys. He's in class 12. And I have him off in a private school. Remember, class 11 and 12 is college in India. Class 10, you're finished high school. 11 and 12 is what we call they call college. And then they go on to what's called master's college, which is what we call regular college. And he does very good. He wants me to send him to an engineering school next year. I hope I'll be able to do that. These are four of my oldest girls. They're in class 10. They have to go to another school because I don't have class 10. I have them in a Catholic school. Right now, because that's the best school in the area, but the Catholics are very much trying to influence them in the wrong way, so I'm a little bit concerned about them. These are some of the blind children, and the one on the right is a new blind teacher. He's born blind, he's been all the way through blind school, and very educated, and Braille, and many languages, and so I'm glad to have him there teaching how more blind than this, but this is just a picture of a few of them. Here's pictures of my teachers. They all have BA, BS degrees. On the bottom right is Delina. She's my principal with a master's degree. She's super smart and very good. I don't have to worry about school. She's just a good administrator. And these are some of my other teachers and so forth. These are some of my older students. You know, they're aging out now. Some have gone and gotten married. One of the problems when girls turn 13 or 14, people come and want them to be married to somebody. And I fight that. But if they have a legal guardian, and the legal guardian says, no, I want her, I want to marry her, there's not a thing I can do about it. It's heart-rending sometimes how these little girls taken off and married to a man they've never even seen. You know? But that's arranged marriage, which is what's done in many places of India, particularly in caste systems, but also among the tribal people. But these children I've aged out, and they work for me. Monica works in my school office. She basically runs the school office. She's very good. Sukramoni, she's the one that was so badly burned. I found her when she was 7 years old. She was brought to me in a medical clinic, and I said, give her to me. And they did. And she's been with me 9.5 years. But she will always be with me. I have her in preschool as an assistant teacher. You know, preschool don't make judgment on how you look and whether you've been burnt very bad. She's a good young lady. And then Mithun and Badapi have aged out, and they work in the mystery fields of carpentry, plumbing, electrical. All my boys are trained in these vocational skills. Some will go on and work other places. These two are working for me right now. And so, just some pictures of the kids in school. Two little blind children, very beautiful girl, Linsel on the right, Shanti on the left. Our library. You can see the school is, rooms are very big, very large. That's still out an hour, right? 15 minutes? 5. Okay. Let me give this before and after picture. Let me back up here. But you see the picture on the left, these are the type of kids that I get, okay? And if you look at them, they have nothing. And they're standing at their front door. You look through their front door, what do you see? You see the backyard. Because all they have is 2 pieces of tin. They walk through that door, and that's what they have to sleep under and get out of bad weather. It's just terrible. This is the Garby kids, and there are many, many Garby children that I have. And they have the only clothes they have is on their back. You know, little boys just have those shirts to wear, nothing else. The little girl, if she lets go of her pants, they just fall straight to the ground. That's all they have. But those 3 children are with me now, and they're in those uniforms you've seen. It's a totally different life for them, okay? You see a before and after picture there, the difference we can make in the lives of these children with your help, and I appreciate that. Our Antioch program is going well, where we're training preachers, give them 5 years to become self-supporting, and that's going very well. Most of them are making good progress. There's many baptisms that takes place in our programs. This little girl's an orphan girl, and he's a preacher. When they send me a picture, say, "Will you take this child?" You know what my answer is, right? Yes. Okay. And my administrators who say, "We don't have any more beds," but I said, "Well, we'll have to make one." So you'll see when baptisms taking place. Anytime we have lots of Bible studies, and of course, usually results in conversions. You can see the pictures. This is Calcutta. I've shown you pictures. This one here probably before. This poor little lady is sleeping, laying, passed out something like Howard Bridge, which is the busiest bridge on earth. 1 million people a day walk by this woman and walk over this bridge. I just think how many of them even look at her or would even do something for her. In the Hindu religion, there is no compassion. They're taught to let people live their karma. Don't interfere with their karma. The gods have put her in that position. So you leave her there. Her next life maybe will be a better life. But just many problems. These people, they're all laying on the streets of Calcutta. Okay? It's just very sad pictures to see. Brother Law's been with me a long time. We're beginning a printing press operation. I'm trying to raise funds to open a printing press where we'll print our own Bibles, psalm books, tracts, and so forth. Continue the work of Brother J.C. Choate. Some of you may remember him. He passed away a few years ago. And these are items I need to buy. 2 of the 4 items I need to buy. Medical mission's going great. I know my time is up, but just got through doing a midwife class with 15 women, teaching them how to deliver healthy babies in a clean environment. And so they come and stay with me for 2 months of training, and you can see the pictures of them. Here they're eating. Here they are in a class with me, and I'm preparing that class. I was teaching them nutrition, many things they learned with us for 2 months. They receive all these medical devices, learn how to use them in their villages, and so forth. So, take a final exam and practicum and so forth. There's a graduation taking place as they graduate. Receiving the certificates. This young woman was I was hoping I could help deliver that baby, but it wasn't coming. She was at almost 9 months, 3 weeks, and the baby would not engage in the pelvic, so we ended up doing a C-section. This flooding just happened last week. Always flooding problems up there. High wind problems can blow a village down. This is not a tornado or a hurricane. It's just high winds that blow from the Himalaya mountains. It can destroy a village, almost instantaneously. And we go in and try to help them. How many diseases come into your clinic? Elephantitis, the one on the right is a very bad diabetic. He has no control, doesn't even know they're diabetic. Okay. And so forth. People are doing examinations of the children. This is our surgery that we just done. This is Bolinghi right here, okay? We're doing ear surgery on her. And you can see we basically slice and take the ear and lay it off over here, and then able to work in the brain, behind the bones there to fix that little bone. I call it, looks like a stirrup. I can't remember the name of the bone now. And anyway, the final slides here is that these children, I need help to get them through my school. Some of you have adopted children at, I think it's $40 a month. What I'm trying to do here is help me get these kids through my school, $25 a month. I actually will pay for their tuition with me and help this school become self-supporting, which is what it has to do. The school will eventually be the largest ways of having funds in India to make it an Indian work. So I'm working very hard in this direction. If you want to help, I can talk to you afterwards, I promise. We need to make a difference in their lives. Let me use this for an invitation tonight. You may have seen this slide. It probably came off of Facebook, but here's Jesus talking to this little girl, and he's trying to tell her, give me your little teddy bear. And but she's saying, but I love it, God. You can imagine these little children don't want to give up their animal. But Jesus is holding a much bigger teddy bear or whatever behind his back. And that's what God is saying to us. Love me enough to give me your life. And then see what I will give back to you. That's just grace and mercy and love and forgiveness and a home in heaven. But we have to give our lives to Jesus. You know, we have to die to ourselves that Jesus might live in us and through us. And perhaps there's someone here tonight that needs to make that decision that, yes, God, I'll give you my life. I give up any sins that I have. I give everything to you. And when we die to ourselves and give our lives to God, what Jesus can do to us is unimaginable. What he can do for us, what he can do through us in the world of evangelism if we give our lives to him. Remember, one day when we stand before God, which we all will, you know, we've got to stand before the Father. And you want Jesus standing there with you. I cannot imagine this picture without Jesus being in it. Can you, Sean? I cannot imagine standing before God in the day of judgment. And Christ is not there pleading in my behalf. So you need to avail yourself of this opportunity. Then you have that opportunity as we stand and we sing the song.